Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back, part two, DirectX 12. Um, in this portion, he's gonna start going into the answering questions phase of the whole interview and whatnot, and he brings out a few nuggets that I want to kind of emphasize right here. Um, well, let me first get to the point to where he's asking the question, and here we go.
Direct 3D 12 API. What's the requirement for Direct 3D 12 feature level?
So our goal is to run DX12 on pretty much all Windows 7 hardware, modulo some very, very early kind of XP upgraded netbooks type of things.
Okay.
But I would say more modern Windows 7 hardware, we believe that we will be able to run DX12.
Nice.
And so we are really aiming for the breadth of the market, and we really want to rejuvenate and give developers control over the hardware which is already out there. Now, obviously, we are very much counting on our friends at NVIDIA and Intel and AMD and Qualcomm and all of these other GPU vendors to do a fantastic job and invest with us and build better drivers and then even start to invest into silicon. But the baseline is all Win 7 hardware.
That is key for my PC gamers. Basically, which you probably already knew, most of your hardware out there now will be compatible with DirectX 12, more than likely compatible with Windows 9. He made the little caveat about, unless you've upgraded your machine from XP. That's only because usually PCs that have been upgraded from XP, even though it didn't have an upgrade path, a lot of people went and got the software and just upgraded on top of XP or whatever, and there you go. But it's still older hardware, so that's why you made the caveat. But if it's newer hardware, maybe a year or two, old or whatever, if you bought your hardware with Windows 7, it should work. So I think, to be honest, I think he's kind of stretching it there, but that's me. Usually, they want you to be on more updated hardware like Windows 8 hardware. So if you got Windows 7, I think you'll be good. But I would, check hardware compatibility first and all that good stuff before you go upgrade. So the next thing I want to highlight was he brought up XNA. And for some of you, you might remember XNA from the Xbox 360. When it first came out, you had that capability to create games or become a developer of games and all that stuff. It had its own deal where you had to pay $100 to get in and all that stuff. You remember that? That XNA. I think it's still going on. I don't know, maybe they changed it or something. But he brought it up, and it was interesting what he had to say about it. There you go.
This is the second time I've seen those three letters, XNA. Will we get an XNA variation for Xbox One development? XNA is one of those things that's just not going to go away.
Yeah. So again, a lot of conversation in our conference rooms and offices around what should we do with XNA, and obviously we will keep XNA up and running. One of the things which we are, however, seeing is that there is a lot of investment which is going into what I would call either open source or third-party middleware. And the big decision for us is to figure out, like, do we want to go and bring yet another one to the market? Do we want to go and compete with things like Unity and Marmalade and all of these different game engines? Or do we just want to say, look, no, we're going to embrace what is happening in the market? And so today we kind of talked about how important it is for us to treat your code investments and how we understand that the code you write needs to be as leveraged as possible across multiple different form factors and OSs and that type of stuff. And so XNA kind of feels maybe a little bit of that it may be kind of a dead end.
Yeah. Right on.
So basically, they're probably going to kill XNA. I didn't really even know people were still developing using XNA. I thought the XNA had died with like halfway through the life cycle of 360, but hey, you learn something new every day. But it's interesting that he brought up Unity, because I think Unity is going to be used to develop the new Assassin's Creed game, and basically Marmalade, which I don't know what Marmalade, who uses Marmalade or who develops with Marmalade, but I know he referring to also probably Unreal Engine as well. But the fact that he brought up those middleware and making them compatible with DirectX 12 is important as well, because they would have, with Unity, with Marmalade, with Unreal Engine, they'll have access to the hardware and have more control to be able to get more performance out of the hardware using DirectX 12, which is key, and I think it's cool and it's good. Especially if you game on the Xbox One, for developers. I think that lately, because Microsoft kind of jumped the gun and released the Xbox One early, kind of threw developers off, and they didn't have everything they needed. They were still using the old DirectX 11 codecs and all those APIs and all that stuff. So I think that's why we've been seeing some of the games come out, less than what we thought it should have been as far as the next gen expectations. But look like that's been corrected, and look like we have some things to look forward to. Moving on, now this part right here is interesting, and once I go to it, you'll understand. If you've listened to the Talk That Talk podcast with Showstopper, I was on that podcast, and shout out to Showstopper and the fellas. Man, it was a question that was asked by one of the guests, Virus. He asked a question, and well, let me let you hear this first, and I'll explain myself.
X12?
Still being investigated. We don't have a clear, context and shaders, and introducing the shader compiler into WinRT and into the modern SDK, but there are no substantial changes to the shader pipeline.
Right on. So will WPF benefit from DirectX 12?
Still being investigated. We don't have a clear answer on that. We would like to make that so.
Cool. DirectX 12 versus Mantle. Positive, negatives, and differences?
I would say absolutely positive. Mantle obviously is scoped down to AMD hardware. AMD is a wonderful company doing a lot of cool stuff. DirectX runs pretty much on anything which we can put Windows on, and so we plan to make it run from phones all the way to Xbox One, and so from that perspective, much broader reach. From performance perspective, we think that we will be, I would say, pessimistically, we will be as good, but I'm pretty sure we will be better.
Okay.
Or we will do everything we can to be better, and so yeah, I think that it's net positive.
So I'm gonna
shout out to my boy Virus. He brought up a question, and I answered the question not knowing that Mantle and DirectX 12 were competitors. I answered the question like Mantle was some sort of middleware, kind of like, a Unity or Unreal Engine. So I apologize to him for that. Usually I do my homework before I start saying and spouting off stuff, but that was my fault. That was my bad. Shout out to Virus, man. Check his channel. I think he got a channel. I forgot. But check his channel out, man. I know it's on the Talk That Talk podcast. The link is there. Please check that podcast out. It's an awesome podcast. Even though the audio quality was a little jacked up a little bit, but hey, bear with us. We're going to get it better. Please check the podcast out, when you get a chance. But, yeah, man, I misspoke on that. But based on what he's saying, DirectX 12 is they're going to do everything possible to make it better than Mantle. Well, that's yet to be seen, since Mantle is developed by the people that made the hardware on the Xbox One, even though it's customized for, via Microsoft. It's still AMD's hardware. AMD made the silicon, I should say. But either way, I think it's not going to affect Microsoft. They're going to use DirectX 12, and they're going to go forward with that. A couple more stopping points, and we're going to end the video. This was interesting as well. Let me see this a little bit further on down. Let's see here.
Model, right? So will DirectX 12 make Xbox games and Windows games come together as like universal apps? So I guess this one way you could ask the question is, you can write a DirectX 12 universal app.
Yes.
There's your answer.
Short and sweet. You develop an app for DirectX 12. It's going to work on Xbox. It's going to work on Windows. That's awesome. And that's the benefit of having the One Windows initiative, where basically they are making Windows across, the same across all their platforms. So that's awesome. So moving on to the next thing, the final thing. This kind of made my eyebrows go up a little bit, but I just wanted to share this part with you guys. Let's see. Let's go here.
I love the question. So yes, we are absolutely concerned, and I kind of touched on it.
Let me go back. I think I went back a little bit too far. A little bit too far. Let's see.
About the learning curve for developing using DirectX. So out in the real world, there's sort of this notion that OpenGL is easier.
Yes.
That's his question.
Yes.
Productivity.
Yeah, I love the question. So yes, we are absolutely concerned, and I kind of touched on it. That's my boss there.
Oh, right on. He's doing great, man.
Yeah. So we are absolutely concerned about that, and so one of the things which, and I already touched on it, is look, there's a little bit of a dichotomy between, look, I want to control over every part of the rendering pipeline, versus, hey, please make it easier for me. And every time we abstract the complexities, we take some level of control. And so one of the things which we are really, really working on is kind of layering the stack in the right way. So people who want to go really down to the metal and control the DMA buffers and control the resources in the most native way, they can certainly do so. And then we need to kind of come up with another layer of the API, which is like much more simple or much more abstracted, where maybe that's the right layer to put the WinRT projections on the top of, and so on. And so, yes, we are very concerned about this, and we need to figure out where the right balance is, but we definitely want to end up with a properly layered system.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great point. It's a hard...
That was interesting because, of course, the question was, the perception is that OpenGL is a little bit better programmed for, and basically what they're going to do to rectify that. And he basically explained why that was, or what they're going to do for DirectX 12 is kind of layer it, tailor to the developer, as far as you have it, have more control over the hardware. You can do whatever you want to do. You can kind of manipulate it in a way that you can best use whatever tools you use in order to develop the app or the game or whatever, to get the best performance out of it. And I think with DirectX 11, it kind of got in the way with all the other little, things of trying to be, simple. Kind of like the comparison between Apple and Android, where Apple, it's not much you can do as far as customization, and, with Apple, you'll have to kind of, jailbreak it and get, stuff on it in order to get all the total customization out of it, as opposed to Android. They give you customization off the bat, and you can just download whatever apps you want to download and do whatever you want to do with it, and root it and all that stuff like that. Same concept. It's basically Apple to Android. Sorry, bad joke. Anyway, that's going to be the end of the video. I know this is like a little short series, a little bit long, kind of, a lot of tech talk, but hopefully I kind of explained it to you as best as possible, what's going on with DirectX 12, and why people are kind of getting excited about it, and why you're starting to see games come out more 1080p. That's because I recently found out that like Quantum Break and The Division and all these games that you're starting to see, with the, with Gamescom, E3, they are using the beta form of DirectX 12 in getting those games to 1080p and to look that good. And most of your newer games, like the Diablo 3s and the games that initially had problems with getting Xbox One to 1080p, are because of the SDKs and the beta APIs of DirectX 12 are starting to shine and starting to hit those benchmarks. So, hey, the sky's the limit from here, man. If you're an Xbox owner, if you're a PC owner, you got a lot to look forward to, And I mean, if you got a PS4, you got stuff to look forward to as well. But I prefer Xbox. Xbox strong. But anyway, thank you for tuning in to my video. Shout out to all my subscribers for liking, commenting. Subscribe, to my channel. I got more videos coming. I still got that series about the Xbox One operating system. That's going to be next. Stay tuned for that. That's going to be awesome. You guys have a great evening, morning, afternoon, whenever you're watching this video. Stay tuned. Be good. Peace.
Yeah. Yeah, they like, go along with it, though they getting long-winded, plastic surgery, the truth's getting augmented, and if they got some proof like a coupe, yeah, it's all tinted, new dude on the stoop, he rules, yeah, we all written, he gon' keep the ones that he choose till we all finish, the Prince of Pieces, everything that Prince Charles isn't.